everyone, I'm here today to talk about the depth year. So I first heard about the depth year from Kelly and Maddox. If you haven't checked out her channel, you definitely should. She talks a lot about witchcraft and tarot and all kinds of interesting things. And she had mentioned that she was going to do this thing called a depth year. So a depth year is basically when you refrain from adding new things into your life and you explore the things you already have. So for instance, you might say, I'm not going to buy any new clothes this year. I'm going to, create outfits from the objects that I already have in my house. Another common place to do the depth year practice is with books. So saying, I'm not going to buy any new books this year. I'm going to read the books that I already have. So when I first heard Kellyanne's take on this, I was like, oh no, I am so not interested in placing that limitation on myself. I love being able to just buy all these new things. It's so satisfying to just, click that little purchase button on Amazon or Thrift Books or wherever I'm getting it from. And so initially my reaction was definitely not interested in a depth year. And then I just kind of dropped it. I didn't really think a whole lot about it. But I started to notice the obscene amount of stuff that I have in my house. And when I say stuff, I'm specifically referring to books, like didactic learning materials, online courses, online books, audiobooks. I have an insane amount of material. And I was noticing that as I was buying more stuff and I had this long growing list of books that I'm supposed to buy that I'm like, oh, I need that one and that one and that one and that one. And I was like, I'm so overwhelmed by all the books I have and all the various learning tools that are at my fingertips that I have yet to touch that have been sitting in my house, some of them for over 5 years. And so I decided, I was like, maybe I'm not enjoying this rapid acquisition of learning materials as much as I thought I was. I honestly think that if I were to take a whole year, and not just a depth year, if I were to stop working and just read all the books I have and take all the courses that I've signed up for, I don't even think I could finish everything in an entire year if I made it my full-time job. That's how much learning material I have accumulated in my life. Obviously, there's value to being attuned to new things, taking on new recommendations, but I do think that our culture, we get into this habit of just taking on these new things and never really paying a whole lot of attention to them, not really reading them, not looking at them or listening to them, and that's really too bad. And the other thing is that sometimes I rely too much on trying to learn something from a book rather than going and being connected to that in my community. So for instance, if I want to learn about gardening, I can definitely read a book about gardening, but it also might be nice if I were to get to know some other people that do gardening and learn from them and their expertise. So I finally decided this weekend that I'm going to do a depth year. Obviously the year has already started, but I don't really give a shit because I can start my depth year whenever I want. So I'm going to be starting it for the month of March, and yes, I know March already started, but it's fine. So I'm planning to focus on two main things. The first one is physical books. I have way too many physical books. I have read a very small percentage of them. So my intention is to not purchase any new books this year. So it'll run from March to March. So that'll be my first item, is to not purchase any new book. My second order of business will be to not enroll in any new ongoing educational courses. So I also do meditation retreats, and sometimes they'll be a day-long retreat or a half-day retreat. I'm not including those kind of one-off events like a one-day workshop in this parameter. Specifically, I keep enrolling in intensive months-long yoga teacher trainings. So I'm not allowed to enroll in any new ongoing trainings. If it's a couple hours or a day, that's cool, but no new here's this professional 1,000-hour yoga teacher, course or something, none of that. I'm still working on finishing my current one, which is my 300-hour yoga teacher training. When it comes to learning, for me, it's like I'm a little kid at a buffet table and I just see all these yummy foods and I put them all on my plate, and then my plate is way too big and I can't eat it all. And that is how I get when it comes to learning opportunities. They're all really worthwhile things, and I just don't have enough time to finish them all. And it's actually starting to be a burden to me trying to do all of these different trainings. It feels like a lot of pressure. It ends up eating up a lot of my free time, and I want to find more of a place of balance and really have more depth than breadth in these different topics that I'm learning about. So just for reference, here are some of the current things that I have on my learning plate. I am in the middle of a 300-hour yoga teacher training course, and that is very intensive, and there's a lot of information that I'm trying to absorb with things like anatomy and alignment and biomechanics, so I want to definitely spend more time on that. I intend to do intensive study of the Yoga Sutras. I actually just ordered a book prior to my book ban. It's like a Yoga Sutras like workbook by Nikolai Bachman. I'm very excited about that. And that's like, I mean, I could probably study those for like literally years. I'm also currently doing Satipatthana study, which is like a Theravada Buddhist thing. Of course, I'm always learning for my professional development as a therapist. I'm always reading books about psychology and attachment and trauma. I also read a lot of books about tarot, and I also have a lot of tarot decks. Actually, oh, that's the other thing. So the other rule is that I'm not going to buy any new decks, tarot or otherwise, in the next year. And that is hard for me because I love new decks, and decks are amazing, but I also feel like I have some really phenomenal decks in my collection, and I need to really dig into those, get to know them, rather than just continuing to add on these random other decks. I also have a lot of books that I've been meaning to get to about language learning. I really love linguistics. I have like books on like Arabic and Chinese and Hindi and French and Spanish and Russian, all waiting for me to come check them out. I have books on politics, the economy, sociology, philosophy, so many things. I have novels, magazines, and children's books. Over 50 hours of like learning materials from SoundsTrue.com, like in video and otherwise format. Like I have a ancestral healing course that I enrolled in on another website. Like I am overrun in the best way possible, right? Like I'm so excited that I have all this information at my fingertips, and it's way too much. Like I have to cut back. I have to start somewhere. I have to start digging myself out of this hole of like learning materials, and so I think the depth year is going to be really helpful for, you know, getting this down to a manageable level where I'm actually really appreciating the materials that I do have. I have books on mindfulness, on shamanism, art history, sexuality. I have every single Harry Potter book, all the Lord of the Rings. I have 77 books in my Audible collection alone. This doesn't even count the books I have in PDF or electronic form. I mean, and then there's my cookbook collection. Like, it just never ends. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's really out of control. So to recap, for my depth year, I will run from March 2019 to March 2020, and I am not going to buy any new books, the internet as my witness. I'm not going to enroll in any ongoing learning courses, and I'm also not going to buy any new divination decks. I'm curious to hear if other people are doing a depth year or if you have thoughts about the depth year. Please comment below, and if you enjoy this video, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, and see you next time.